Good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And my goodness, do I have a phenomenal guest on today. I met this guy about, 4 or 5 weeks ago. Our mutual friend Bob Donnell introduced us and we just really hit it off. This guy has quickly turned into a brother to me. Love this guy. You know him well. If you've ever watched television or ever seen a movie, you've probably seen this dude's face before. So I want to give a very, very big and warm, loving welcome to my dear friend, Mr. Glenn Morshower. Glenn, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you, Ken. Don't you have a button you can hit that has like a round of applause or something?
I need no? One. I need one. I'm working.
Actors respond to that very favorably.
I know. There's Bob Donnell in here. We have Sherry Gideons, some amazing people. Bob, thank you again. So happy that Bob introduced us.
Well, Bob, thank you for the introduction. And I want you to know that you are, my friend, the reason that I wore a jacket today. I wanted to dress up for Bob.
That's awesome.
And there's Lorraine. Good morning, Lorraine.
Hey, Lorraine. So, and there's Cindy. We have a lot of people that are, that know us both. And Glenn, I told you, we talked a little bit last night. Okay. It wasn't a little bit. We never talk a little bit. Let's just be real. Should we tell everybody? It's like,
no, that's the truth. We got a serious bromance, a verifiable bromance going on. No question.
My wife's like, what in the world is up with you two? I said, we're solving the world's problems. That takes time.
There's a whole lot of love, baby. A whole lot of love.
I started this show a couple of years ago, probably from a selfish standpoint, to help myself. But, it really was to give back to the world and help people get unstuck. And so I've had a lot of amazing people on that have shared a lot of stories, and this is all about you and your story and how things came about for you. So look, Jill, there's Jill's comment on my comment.
Does everyone understand that Jill is your wife?
So yes, they all know.
People understand who Jill Walls is.
They know Jill. They know Jill. So let's start with where you were born and raised, sir.
I was going to joke with you and say that I was born in my mother's womb, but because I was ambitious, I decided to move out after 9 months. But I actually arrived in Dallas in 1959 and was raised here. And I say here because I'm in Dallas now. And so my mom and birth father got a divorce when I was 3. I had an older brother. And I say had because my older brother, Brian, passed away 1 year ago. Mm. And he was 2 years, 2 months older than I was. And so he was 5 when they divorced. And my mom did the single parent thing for about 3 years before she wound up remarrying. And she was a good old Southern Baptist gal, right? So she, everybody in our family sounds like this. And it was turn or burn center. You hang from a slender thread. Mm. And then when she remarried, she married a Jewish man who promptly changed our last name from Bennett to Morshower. And that's how that came to be. And then I was raised attending Hebrew school. I was bar mitzvahed. And so I refer to myself now and have for years as a Babishtarian, which means I was born Baptist, raised Jewish, and married a Presbyterian. And somewhere within that mix, I have factored in a great deal of Buddhism. And the truth is, I believe that I think it's all the same. I've really grown to that understanding. It's all the same, but people's precious overrated need to be right is how they come up with the fact that theirs is the answer. And there's so many that have decided theirs is the answer. But, you know, you and I have talked openly about God, and
Yeah.
I want to throw this out there because that's a great topic. I want to just throw this out there, which is that if God is God, and I can't imagine God not being God. I mean, if you believe in God at all, I think it makes sense to believe in a big God, right? It's not a weenie God. If you're going to believe in a weenie God, there's no point in believing in God.
Amen.
But if you're going to believe in the bigness of God, words like almighty, and certainly, how about this one, omnipotent,
Right.
or omnipresent. And so if that's true, and I'm saying if, but I believe that since that's true, why would you think that there would have to be a path to get to that which is omnipotent and omnipresent? If something is omnipresent, it means that it is everywhere at all times. Why would you think you'd have to travel to that which is everywhere?
Right.
So I gave up the idea of there being a pathway to that which is. And I'll tell you that it changed my life, and only for the better.
Yeah.
And powerfully to realize that right where I stand or sit or lie down, right where I do whatever I'm doing, God is. God is present in and throughout all circumstances. And we may not necessarily see it, we may not necessarily feel it, but things we see and things we feel can also be overrated. And I don't think that faith requires either one of those things. I don't. I think we just have a knowingness. I've never seen air. I've never seen it, but I've been relying on it my entire life.
Right.
There are a lot of things that I've never seen gravity. I've seen evidence of gravity. I've seen gravity's effect, but how would you ever see gravity? So we don't know what gravity looks like, but we see evidence of gravity all the way around. And what I know is gravity, like so many other laws, is one of those immutable laws, meaning it's unchanging, and it is what it is, and it is no great respecter of titles. It doesn't care how much money you have. It doesn't care what your race is, your sexual preference. It doesn't care if you're a male or a female. Gravity treats all people equally and all things equally.
Yeah.
So I learned a long time ago, Ken, that getting on the right side and creating what I call right relationship with immutable law was actually in our best interest. And I won't speak on behalf of anyone else. I'll say it's in my best interest. But I've become a practitioner of it and a teacher of it. And I've been teaching being on the right side of immutable law for a very, very long time, to have a cooperative relationship with that which is, so that you can be the beneficiary of it versus a confrontational relationship or an uncooperative relationship with that which is. Meaning, I wouldn't want to have an uncooperative relationship with gravity, would you?
No, but I do want to interrupt you.
Sure, I was done with that topic anyway.
We can talk about that, but Eric, my buddy Eric Cornelius.
Eric wants me to be his daddy. Is he asking for a DNA? Is he asking for a DNA test? Is that what's going on?
There's irony in that, because you actually use that term, but I do want to back way up, pre all of your very in-depth spiritual and religious experiences. Sure. I want to back up to when did you say that your father passed away?
Both my birth father and my stepfather are both deceased.
So,
my birth father passed away in 2003, and my stepfather, Harry Morshower, my birth father's name was Alan Bennett, and my stepdad was Harry Morshower, and he passed away in 2005.
So your mom and dad got a divorce then?
They did.
Okay.
They felt that would make it easier for her to remarry.
Well, hey,
Barbara, you're going to have to get a divorce first before I marry you.
Oh my gosh. So you, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to go now. All right. So I want to back up though. So how old were you when your mother got remarried? And
I was 6.
6. Okay. I missed that part. So at 6 years old, she got remarried and you were introduced to becoming Jewish.
Introduced is a polite term, but it was more I was informed. I was informed that I was now Jewish. Congratulations. Here's your new last name and your new religion. By the way, I'm not joking. I mean, we're laughing, but it was like, you're now Jewish. And I went,
dude, wait a minute.
Ken, here's how it went. I went something like, okay.
So you're
bar mitzvah. Check this out. I was bar mitzvahed by a rabbi who sounded like this. And I got to tell you, man, when you hear Hebrew, when you hear a rabbi going, it's weird. It can mess a grown kid up.
Oh my God. So that is, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So you were bar mitzvah that's 13, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, we broke the rules by a couple of weeks. I was bar mitzvahed about 3 weeks before I turned 13. So I was one of the rare 12-year-old bar mitzvahs.
Okay. So you were so here you were, a Baptist up until 6.
Yes.
And then you became Jewish, and then you married a Presbyterian.
Are you already smelling the need for a therapist in my life? When you look at the background,
I think you should set up an appointment right now. I'm kidding. So no, and look, the diversity is probably one of the big things that makes you who you are, and I love that, because I know nothing about being Jewish. I was not bar mitzvahed, so I know nothing about that. But you do, and you speak some Hebrew. I mean,
I do, and I know a lot about being Jewish. I mean, Judaism didn't play a small role in my life. We were very Jewish. There are 3 rungs on the ladder of Judaism, and so I was on the middle. Our family was upper tier conservative. So what you have is Orthodox, which is the most religious of the Jewish faith, and then you have conservatives, and then you have Reformed. And the Reforms, they don't even require that you wear a yarmulke. You know what a yarmulke is, right?
Yes.
So you don't have to wear a yarmulke in the Reform.
I have one built in.
I almost wondered, in all honesty, if it was an early cure for baldness, because you don't look, at least if you're balding in the crown, you got a full head of hair as long as you're religious enough to have a yarmulke on.
Right.
But we had to wear yarmulkes, and we did not mix milk with meat. What we did do, though, is that we drove on the Sabbath, which was on Saturdays. And within Orthodox Judaism, you walk everywhere on the Sabbath. The Sabbath is the holy day. You don't work, you don't drive. So ours wasn't quite that extreme.
Wow. So what was it? Was your stepfather, was he a strict man?
Very much so.
Was he?
He was extremely strict and a strong disciplinarian, and had I don't know if this sounds strong to you. It certainly did to me, and it felt that way. And in hindsight, it still looks that way. In our home, there's this long, and my mom still lives in that house. There's a long hallway, and on the left wall, as you go down the hallway, there was a posted set of rules, and it proudly proclaimed Morshower house rules. Morshower house rules. And there were like 12 rules of what you will and will not do in this house. Now, in most homes, that would just be understood. Not in our home. In our home, it was posted, because that way you were not allowed to claim ignorance. It's on the wall.
It's like a speed limit sign.
Right. How can you claim ignorance? It's on the wall. So it was posted. But I'm just thankful for all of it. And you and I have talked endlessly about this, because if you take away any of what made you, then you take away you.
Yeah.
And I enjoy being me, and I help others enjoy being them. That's not said from ego. I actually believe that's the sign of a healthy human being.
Yeah.
I believe people are supposed to be having a good time being themselves, occupying this uniquely assigned sack of skin.
Yeah.
That's what we're here to do. I
That's
love
right.
the sack of skin that I reside in. I've never had one day, not a fleeting moment of my life, have I ever wanted to be anyone else or anywhere else. I love my life just as it is. And I want to add one thing to that, Ken. Not only do I love it just as it is, I love it just as it is not.
Yep.
So there are a lot of things that aren't so about my life, and I'm truly glad they're not.
Yeah. You told me, and we're going to get into this in a minute, but I want to put this out there to address in a little bit. Here, Eric said,
Eric says I want to be in my life. No, so, you don't, Eric. No, you don't.
I want to put this out there just to talk about in a little bit.
Sure.
And that is, you've had an unbelievable. I know.
Are we back on that word again?
You've had a very, very, very successful career working in Hollywood, and you told me, I don't really dig hanging out with Hollywood elites, and I want to address that here in a little bit.
For starters, I don't esteem them to be elites.
Right.
I mean,
right. Right. That's what I love about you, man. You're like the most down to earth, famous person I've ever met in my life, for real.
Oh, thank you. That's sweet. Thank you.
And I love that about you. So here so you went to, I'm assuming you went to school in high school. Did you go to a like private Jewish school, or?
I went to Hebrew school, which is actually school that follows school.
Oh,
let me explain. And exactly, because you could have been handed out $100 bills, and it's still school that follows school. Right. So the vast majority of the kids were like, "No, thank you. I'm not interested in being that holy, because I've already done my day in school, and now I'm going to go from one school, which gets out at 3 o'clock, to the next school, which starts at 4, and I get to be there from 4 till 6.
No,
and learning a language that I will never be asked to speak in. Not one time in my life has anyone ever come up and said, "Dude, come here a minute. I bet you speak Hebrew." That's never happened. But I mean, Spanish, yeah, maybe, and I do speak Spanish. Claro que sí, porque mis tíos nos invitaron a comer y pico que banquetazo. I mean, I speak Spanish, but in Texas, you need it. In Los Angeles, you need it. Hebrew, not so much.
Oh my God.
Especially when you have this Irish-looking face, But yeah, we would go to Hebrew school after our day school, and they had 5 grades. So you started in Aleph, then it went Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Daled, and Hey. And Hey was when you graduate, and you go from there to your bar mitzvah. Yeah. After that, they have a next level, and my stepfather never pushed for that, right? So
thank God.
Once oy vey, I love what he just said. But once you've had your bar mitzvah, he felt like I have done my duty as a responsible Jewish father to raise my boys all the way through their bar mitzvah, and call it good. I've done my job. So I appreciated that he didn't push that any farther than he did. That was good. So
did you and look, if it was anyone else, I wouldn't be asking this, because I would have like no reason to believe that I needed to ask it. Sure. But you started your acting career before exiting high school.
I started my acting career before my bar mitzvah.
Come on.
I started when I was 11, and I'll be 61 in a few more days. April 20,
yeah, happy early birthday. Everybody wish him a happy early birthday. I'm going to do a special live stream on your birthday, and I'm going to have you on, and we're going to, I don't know, we're going to party like it's 1999.
Awesome. Do I get any say so in that?
No. No,
I would be honored.
honor.
I would be honored. So yeah, my mother took me, because I know this is part of the story that you were interested in, and how did this even come to be?
Yeah.
And the answer is, when I was 11 years old, my mother took me to see a production at the Dallas Theater Center. And that production was of Charles Dickens' play, A Christmas Carol. My brother Brian went with us. So it was just the three of us that went to the theater. And this is where I learned the valuable lesson that just because you're having the same experience with someone does not mean you're having the same experience. So we had the same experience, meaning we were attending the same play. So the stimulus was the same, but how it was affecting us was vastly different. And I'm so grateful to have learned that lesson so early on in life, because for me, sitting in that chair that day was changing the entire trajectory of my life.
I mean,
completely, and no exaggeration. I mean, at intermission, I'm tugging on my mom's coat, going, "Hey," and of course I sounded like this. I'm a little teenager, I'm like, "Hey, what's it going to take to be up on stage?" I like that whole acting thing. I like that.
Really?
Oh my gosh, I was so excited, and Mom was like, "Honey, if you'll just simmer down, we're going to see the rest of the show, and then I'll check and see what acting classes they have."
And this was
brother,
A Christmas Carol?
A Christmas Carol, and there were kids in the show, and I knew one of the kids. It was my friend Debbie Siegel, who I didn't even know. Don't you love it? A Jewish name in a Christmas play.
I know. I was like, hold it, a little Baptist Jewish kid at a Christmas.
Yeah, it's sort of like, and now an episode of the Goldstein's Christmas. So it was so weird that she was in this play, but I wanted to have the experience she was having. And I thought, well, if Debbie can hang out up there and have all this fun, then I want to do that. Well, my brother, so that was my experience, right? Is I'm in heaven, nothing shy of a heavenly experience.
Wow.
And I asked my mom if she'll look into me taking some classes there. I mean, what do they have? And sure enough, they had a kids theater department, and I enrolled immediately. So God bless my mom for taking my yearnings seriously and getting behind them. I really owe her lifelong gratitude for supporting that desire. My brother, who was on the other side of my mom, so he's all of maybe 3 feet away from me, that day regarding that play, he would rather have eaten broken glass and mayonnaise. I mean, it was like he was bored out of his mind. I'm begging for more, and at intermission, he's begging for less. He actually asked her if we could go home. So, we need to not ever assume that just because we're enthralled with something, that it means that the person that's with us is equally enthralled.
And that is that's one of the things about you that I just freaking love, man, is you have this ability to see things from the other person's point of view. And it's rather amazing, because not everybody can do that.
And it only deepened, Ken, when I got into the deep end of the pool with acting. Yeah. Because an actor, if they're doing their job, our job is to invite another personality to take residence within our skin. Yeah. For either a short period of time, if you're doing a few scenes in a show, or if you're doing a live stage play, it could be as much as 2 hours that we are allowing someone else to live and express their beingness in and through us. And that means we've got to really get to know who it is they are. Yeah. We have to know them, or we will not be effective. Right. So my beliefs, my own as Glenn, my educational level, my voice, my confidence level, my religious beliefs, my sexual preference, whatever it is, those may or may not apply to the character. But I cannot force feed a character my beliefs. That's wrong. That means I'm doing the work incorrectly. So I have to open my heart and open my mind and let the character teach me who it is he is. Right. And then simply learn. And I got to tell you, over the years, and now I've been in front of the movie camera and television camera for 45 years. And I did another 4 years of theater prior to that. So this marks my 50th, beginning of the 50th year.
Wow.
At Christmas time, it will be 50 years because, as I've said, I was 11. I turned 61 in a few more days. So Christmas of this year, it'll be 50 years that I've been an actor. And the gift from the heavens is that every role I've ever played left a little mark on who it is I am.
Right.
And it did one of two things. It either taught me aspects about life that I wanted to add to my arsenal, or it showed me things that I'm not fond of being on the receiving end of. But what it did is it expanded my compassion. So I really feel for people, and I meet them right where they are. And acting gave me that gift.
You do. So when you were, let me ask you this in a different way. How old were you when you got your first role behind the camera? Like, were you? I don't know, and I should have researched you more.
I'm already over it.
I know the hour and 25 minutes we spent on the phone last night just wasn't enough. So,
right. You, at some point, you'd have thought I could have said, "Hey, Ken, don't you think you should spend some time doing some research?" But no, what happened was I was 15, and I was still training at the theater center, and then a phone call changed my life. The head of the theater got a call from the Kim Dawson Agency, which was Dallas's most reputable talent agency at the time. By the way, I had no plans, and I've never spoken with you about this stuff, no plans at all of going into film and television.
Wow.
Had no plans of moving to LA, nothing. My game plan was to go to New York City. I was in love with being on stage. My plan, baby, I was Broadway bound. And then fate had it another way. So when the phone rang from this talent agency, they were needing young boys to read for a national TV commercial. And it had a lot of dialogue, and they were not successful with casting out of their stable of young actors. So they thought, wow, what kids could we get, it was a one-person spot. What kid could we get that would not be intimidated by a large amount of words and that could relax in front of a camera? And their light bulb went off, and they thought, let's get a kid who's training at the Dallas Theater Center because they're accustomed to being on stage in front of 435 people. That's how big the Kalita Humphreys Theater was at the Dallas Theater Center, 435 seats. So I've stood up and performed as a young boy in front of a packed house. What do I care about a little camera and a couple of people hanging out on set? That's a piece of cake.
Right.
So I went in and read for and booked. Thank you, dear God. I booked the very first professional job I ever read for. And then 3 months later, so I got paid for it. The pay was very good, certainly attention getting good.
Yeah.
And then 3 months later, I got paid again. What is this? And I was being given the gift of residuals. And I thought, so you're going to pay me all over again when I haven't done anything else? And then I remember thinking, I like this.
Yeah.
I think I like this. And I started doing commercials.
Marketing scheme.
I started doing commercials, did several of them. And then later that same year, which was 1975, I'm now 16. I was 15 when I started, but I'm now a full year into my professional career. And check this out. Someone's saying, wow. Jill's saying, wow.
Yeah.
Well, if she said wow to that, she's really going to say wow to this, because a movie came through town called Ode to Billy Joe. And it was being directed by Max Baer Jr. Now, for your own edification, your audience's edification, Max Baer Jr. played Jethro Bodine in a series called The Beverly Hillbillies.
Yep.
Many, many years ago. And of course, children of the 60s, we grew up watching that show.
I love that.
And now I'm auditioning for the lead in a movie, and I'm getting called back multiple times. So I think we had 3 or 4 rounds, because it seemed like they were interviewing every kid in the state of Texas. And all of a sudden, I'm given the news that you've made the final, and you're going to be reading for Max Baer Jr. this coming Friday, and he will choose. Well, how many other, I see Jeffrey's comment about residual income. Yeah. You bet, Jeffrey, and good morning, my dear brother. So the least case scenario is that I'm going to be working with Max Baer Jr. And I'm thrilled, man. I'm going to get to meet and work with Jethro.
You were well aware of who he was.
Oh, I grew up watching him. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, I don't mean working on the movie with him because I don't have the job yet.
Right.
But I'm going to walk into a room with him where he will direct me and coach me. And then he either will or will not choose me. But nobody can take away the experience that I will have that day.
Wow.
Well, I was wrong because he never showed up. It never happened. And after all of those meetings, the session was completely blown off in Dallas. And we actually read about it in the Dallas Morning News about 6 weeks later, that Variety magazine had announced the casting of Robbie Benson and Glennis O'Connor in the two leads. Why is this important that I tell you about a story that didn't develop? The first thing is that it taught me the gift of how you're going to have to get over stuff and get over it quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about big stuff.
Right.
Big stuff that's painful to lose.
And you were 16?
I was 16.
Okay.
So now a couple of months fast forward, I'm still 16, and the same casting director that was casting Ode to Billy Joe calls my agent and says, I have another shot at a lead in a movie, the lead in a movie for Glenn. They called me and I told them I wasn't interested at 16. And it wasn't me being cocky. It was me feeling like this is not right. This is not fair that we go through all these hoops and then they blow us off. Right. I didn't know. I was always led to believe that things in life were fair. Boy, did I ever have a lesson to learn. And the casting director said, see if he'll give you, if he'll give me his number, ask him if I can have his number. I want to call him. So he calls me directly. I said, of course he can call me. Jeez. He called me. I'm 16. And he says, Glenn, don't be an idiot. I'll never forget this call. He says, I don't mean that harshly, but I'm telling you, this role has your name on it. You're ideal for it. You're even perfect for it. And it would be foolish. I'm not going to make you go through all the preliminaries. I'm going to bring you straight in to meet the director. But you're right for this. And if you want to be in movies, just trust me. And that was Gary Chasen out of Houston. Wow. And I went in, I'll speed the story along. I went in, met the director, whose name was Rod Amato. There were four boys and four girls for the two leads in the movie. The film was called Drive-In, made in October and November over about a 7-week period of time in Terrell, Texas, 1975. As we were leaving the room, and I went into that room with a woman named Lisa Lamole. We're leaving the room, and we're at the door when the director says, hey, Glenn, Lisa, I'll see you on set.
Oh, wow.
What?
That was it?
What? And then I smiled, and she smiled, and we went, okay. And we walked outside, and we were madly hugging each other. We didn't even know each other. We met out in the lobby. We went in, kicked butt. I mean, we did a good job, but he told us to our faces that you're hired. And all I could do is play that mental tape of, I've already been down disappointment lane before.
Yeah.
Surely this guy wouldn't tell us that you're doing a movie and then have it not happen. Well, thankfully, it did happen. And that film Drive-In changed my life. Wow. And that is the movie that moved me to Los Angeles. It came out in the summer of 1976. You can still get it. You can go to Amazon. You can find Drive-In today. And I look at it. I probably watch that film every few years just to smile and remember that that's where it all began for me.
And you were 16.
16. So that was 45 years ago.
I heard you tell, hey, because you're like, first at 16, look, we will answer your question, Eric. Just settle down. I'll get to that. We're not there yet. He's got 45 more years to go. So
are we relegated to 60? We're relegated to 60 today, aren't we? Or are we?
So
60 minutes. I mean,
no, we can go a little over. So
I'm here. Whatever you need.
So the you tell a story. I've heard you tell the story about you did the movie and you were going to a public high school,
I
right?
was.
So you did the movie and it was in September and October. Is that what you said?
It was October, November of
Okay.
1975, and it was
October,
released in
November.
May. Released in May of 76.
Okay, but you come back to school after being gone for 2 months.
Yes.
And you were shrouded with lots of like flowers and joy and love and
No, not at all. Not at all. And in fact, I'll tell you where this is when I first heard the phrase that, that I do a lot of teaching on it now. And the phrase was, the boy's too big for his britches. Right. And I learned, I mean, that's not an original saying. We've all heard that. But I want to make a comment about that. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that phrase because what it strongly implies, and I've had years to perfect this understanding and the inherent lesson with it, it implies that there's one size of britches, that britches come in one size only. They will be issued to you by society, and you will never outgrow them. Because if you do, here's what happens, Ken. If you outgrow the britches that were issued you by society, you will threaten the herd.
amen.
And I encourage people to outgrow their britches all the time. And I'm not referring to a physical waistline. I'm talking about your emotional and spiritual development. By all means, leave your small britches behind.
Amen.
Outgrow them and grow into the ones that fit you and your soul's yearnings, that fit into your unique expression of your essence.
Yeah.
So what I found was that my away time was perceived to be a threat. Now, mind you, honest to God, hand to God, I didn't come back acting like a fool.
Right.
I didn't come back with having eaten a bowl of arrogant cereal. I just went and made a movie. That's all I did. And I came back to buckle up, get back to my school. Well, get this. I've never told you this. I was a straight A student. I made really, really good grades.
Wow.
And I left, and my algebra teacher, Mrs. Stroud, I still remember her name. I don't know if she's alive anymore or not, but she was a beautiful woman, and we got along great. She is the only teacher in my life who ever issued me an F. An F. So I was a straight A student, and my total school grades over the years were all straight A's and one F.
What?
And I want to tell you what the F was about. The F, and I didn't know this so much then, the F was about putting me in my place.
Oh my God.
That's what it was about. It was about me understanding you're not going to come in here and be a hot shot. And I thought, ouch. And it hurt. It really hurt. I don't need any sympathy now. I mean, these hurts are a million years ago. But I did go into a counselor's office at the school. I talked with my mom about it. I was tearful-eyed. Well, let's face it. First of all, algebra is a train. You can't jump off that track and go board it at another depot down the road. You can't do it. Algebra, there's too much you're going to miss.
Yeah.
My point is that there was zero compassion. There was zero considering what had happened and what a beautiful opportunity it was. And I want to praise, I mean, buddy, I'm bringing up names now I haven't thought of since the late 70s.
Wow.
And one of the women that was such a godsend in my life was, her name was Joy, and she created a program called the Talented and Gifted Program. I don't know if it was unique to Texas. I think they've had it in other states, but it was called the TAG program, which stood for Talented and Gifted. And get this, here's what they did. They allowed people who were sort of already clear on where they were headed in life. So people who had a clear-cut vision of what they wanted most. Those kids were the exception. I don't mean that they were better kids or they were more important, but they were a rare breed that knew exactly what they wanted to do with their lives. I was never dabbling in acting. I was a non-dabbler. I knew that's what I'm going to do. So they enrolled me in this program that allowed me to go to school for only half a day And then the second half of the day, I got to leave the school building and go train as part of my school program at the Dallas Theater Center.
Wow.
So I was getting school credit for being an actor. Now that's brilliant.
That's awesome.
That is brilliant, because that is proper handling of a kid with a vision.
Yeah.
You don't, and listen, you know that opportunity, you got to strike while the iron is hot.
Yeah.
Every great surfer knows when it's a big, big, beautiful wave, you get your butt up on that wave and you surf it.
Yep.
You don't wave it on by. So here I've got a lead in a feature film that is getting ready to come out. Well, it came out, and that treatment was, that whole big britches thing was even worse after I got back from the film opening.
Wow.
Because I spent that summer touring around the country in a limousine, signing pictures and kissing women. And frankly, I thought, this is a lifestyle that works for me. And I mean, come on. I'm 17 years old. And now I'm trying to pretend that I give a damn about geography and math. And I realized nobody's going to ever ask me these questions.
Did you make any money off of that?
Off the film? Oh, you bet.
I'm kidding.
You bet. And it was a hell of a lot more than my paper route, that I'll promise you. So I wound up, anyway, I don't have an ounce of bitterness about it, but man, I learned a lot about humankind. Yeah. And here it is all these years later. And I got to tell you, I've never seen it change in so many circumstances with other friends of mine, people that have been very successful in their lives. There's a condition known as crabs in a bucket. I know you're familiar with it, but some of your viewers may not be, and I want to just shed some light on it. Yeah. Crabs in a bucket simply means that actual crabs in a bucket, when they're all, like hooked into each other and they're all cramped together, there will always be the adventurous crab that says, hey, this environment is not for me. I can't do this anymore. I'm out of here. And they start to ascend up the wall to get out. Yeah. And it turns out that it is the crab's nature, the other crabs, to reach up and pull it off the wall and say, no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't do that. You don't go expressing your specialness. You do not get to ascend over that wall. You're one of us. Therefore, you will stay in this mess and you will behave like us and you will take it. And it turns out that condition is not limited to crabs. It is a very human trait. And my role in this lifetime, among others, is to help people realize that it is our job to support the fullness of expression for not only ourselves, but for others. And instead of pulling people off the wall of ascension, when they want to get away and leave the herd and do their thing, our job is to actually give them a leg up the wall, the opposite, and to stand there and applaud. And how can I help you here? Step on my back, do whatever. And we take turns being of service to one another. There is no higher calling than being of service. You know that as well as I do.
I agree. And so in your career launched with the movie Drive-In, and you get back and you were still not treated very kindly at all.
Yeah, and we can fast forward from that. It was just, all I know is the clear-cut message was, I don't belong here.
Right.
Things have changed. I'm not wanted because I've already scooted forward in my life. And there's a saying that you can't ever go back. I happen to believe that. I believe that saying, that once we've graduated and we've crossed a threshold of understanding or a threshold of experience in life, we can never pretend to not know what we know. Yeah. Let me say that one more time. We cannot pretend that we don't know the things we know. So it was time for me to get on out of there. And they gave me the extra courses I needed to get me out. And I graduated 3 months early and went straight to Los Angeles.
So there's a saying too, that in recovery, it's once you become a pickle, you can never be a cucumber again.
Oh, I love that.
Right. So you ended up getting the heck out of Dodge, so to speak, and moved to Los Angeles and began your acting career. And we definitely don't have enough time to cover the literally hundreds of films and TV shows that you've been in It's a lot.
Well, it depends on how I tell it. If I tell it this way, we can cover it. Watch this. I went to LA. I did Policewoman and Dukes of Hazzard right after I got there. And now I'm doing The Resident. There. How'd I do? I just covered 45 years in 12 seconds.
I love it. Well, so and who was the woman, the main woman in Policewoman?
Angie Dickinson.
And that's right, Angie. Yeah.
Who was a babe.
Oh.
And I remember thinking, I am being paid for this? She's hot, man.
Let's see. You've been in Star Trek. I mean, just so many things that you've been in. It's incredible. But as a matter of fact, I would encourage everyone to go to imdb.com and look up Glenn Morshower and enjoy your day, because it's a lot of reading. I mean, it's a lot. And you know, my wife made a comment earlier, and you were talking, so I'm not sure you saw it, but she said that, you know, it's rare that someone lasts. Here it is. Almost no one has that kind of longevity in Hollywood. That is talent and wisdom combined. And it's true. Like, almost no one. I mean, people don't last that long in Hollywood.
Well, I'll tell you what I attribute it to, because we just saw evidence of it this week, and you were visiting my online acting class where we had Melina Kanakaridis in it.
She was amazing, by the way.
She was and is amazing. She played Dr. Lane Hunter in The Resident.
Yeah.
And I've known her for over 20 years. We worked together in a show she did many years ago with Mike Farrell called Providence. And then she was the lead opposite Gary Sinise in CSI New York for a long, long time. Yeah. But we've remained good friends. So she came to visit the school. And didn't you have a sense, Ken, when you listened to her, that you wanted more of her?
She's that woman. Honestly, that was, I've never witnessed. I told you, you and I were texting during the whole thing, and I'm like, this woman is absolute. First off, she's drop dead gorgeous. But beyond that, she is the classiest woman I have ever seen. Can I just say what she did at the end?
Yeah, please do.
So there were, what, 70-ish, 75?
We had, right at something like that, about 70 people.
It was a lot of people. And she literally went person by person at the end and called each and every one of our names out and said goodbye and love you all. And just, she was, and I mean, literally, how long did it take her? A minute, a solid 60 seconds or better, just to say goodbye to each and every individual person. It was the classiest thing I've ever seen.
And in doing so, every person in that room felt valued.
Yes.
Right. So this is called value creation. So just know there's a saying in life that how we do anything is how we do everything.
Yep.
So that same consciousness that felt that was important. Now, mind you, we have a word a month that we do at our school. And 2 months ago, before all the coronavirus stuff hit, our word was thoroughness. That was our monthly word. And then she comes in and demonstrates for us what it means to be thorough. And in this case, emotionally thorough. But the point is, anyone who is thorough is not categorically thorough. If they're thorough, they're thorough. And they're thorough across the board. So what that means is that same driving force, Ken, that behaved that way in class the other day, then that's how well she behaves all over the place. She is a thorough human being.
Yeah.
And that is how you generate, you know, I've said this for years. It is not hires that equal a career. It's rehires.
Oh.
So any trained monkey can get hired. But once you're hired, is your essence such that your employers would want to be around you, not only again, but again and again and again and again and again? Because if you've got just a few people like that are on your team because they just love your energy, they want to be near it, they love your work as an actor, but more importantly, they love your energetic contribution to the totality that is a set. And then they hire you and rehire, and before you know it, you're working all the time. And Melina is one of those people.
And so are you. And that's what's amazing. Like you're on and you know, they don't just pay anybody $20 an hour to do what you guys do.
Right. No, that's true. But I think it has everything to do with how you show up.
Yeah.
You show up on time. You show up sober. You show up prepared.
Yeah.
You're not a drama queen. You're not problematic. You know, you're a professional, and they enjoy. And not only that, but Ken, I would add this to it because it's huge. Its advice is never, no matter what, never, ever give up playfulness. Playfulness is a hugely attractive energy in an adult human being. And I mean, we used to walk around and do rehearsals for 24 like this. Like I'd talk to Kiefer Sutherland, like Jack Bauer, and I'd say, hey, come here, Jack. I want to talk to you. I want to introduce you to the President of the United States, right? And I would do rehearsal like that. And everyone is laughing. Well, we put in very long days. Like, you know, sometimes 14-hour, 15-hour days. You can't handle that if you're not smiling.
Right.
Several times a day, we need an energetic break. We got, you know, and all of a sudden I just discovered when I'm doing this guy, everybody would laugh their butts off. And I wound up lasting 7 years on that show that prided itself in killing series regulars.
Wow. So let's address, I can't even find it.
Let's do some questions, brother.
What's your favorite or most meaningful acting role? Oprah apparently would ask this question.
Okay. This is from Eric. Yeah, I would say that my favorite role was playing Aaron Pierce on 24. Aaron was the most like me of anyone that I have ever played. But from the standpoint of research and really digging deep in a role, when I played Colonel Tom Matthews in Black Hawk Down. And the reason is because I got to meet Colonel Tom because he was our technical advisor.
Oh, wow.
On the show. So my task in that movie, which was, I mean, anyone who saw it knows it was a great film. One, great. Two, unlike a lot of movies, it was an accurate depiction of war. It did not seek to glamorize war. It felt ugly. And Ridley Scott, the director, his vision was for it to feel ugly. That was not only his intention, it was his commitment. He wanted people that saw it to walk out of the theater feeling like they had actually been to war.
Yeah.
And it worked. But when I got to set in Morocco, we were shooting in and around the Rabat, Morocco area. Rabat is the capital of Morocco. By the way, Lansing is the capital of Michigan, Ken, just so you know. That's an inside joke between Ken and I. We don't need to go into that.
No. Let's do.
Well, wait, he informed me the other day. He sends me a video clip of these people that are marching on the Capitol in Michigan. And he shows me this is going on in Lansing. And he goes, which, by the way, is the capital of Michigan. And I thought, you must hang out with a lot of ignorant people. You know, I mean, give me a little credit, dude. I have an education.
You interrupted my comment and you said, Ken, for future reference, just so you know, there is the possibility that I am intelligent enough to know that Lansing is in fact the capital of Michigan.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, dude. Thanks, man. I wasn't.
So let me ask you this one. So how do the locals in the state of Missouri, because you know they pronounce it Missouri, they don't say Missouri.
Right.
How do the locals pronounce the capital? Do they pronounce it St. Louis or St. Louis? The locals.
Well, neither.
They actually pronounce it Jefferson City. So it's an old joke. Anyway. So on the Black Hawk Down story, most people don't get that. So I credit you for knowing the capital. By the way, that same joke can be told with Kentucky because almost, you say Louisville or Louisville.
Yeah.
Right. Or even Louisville. And they'll go, well, let's see. Baseball bats are made there and they call them Louisville or Louisville Sluggers. Louisville, Louisville. I'm going to go with Louisville. And you go, no, actually, they call it Frankfurt.
Right. I've done that.
But let me finish the Black Hawk Down story.
Yeah.
So Colonel Tom Matthews is there. He's hired as our tech advisor. And what that means for me is that I will never at any point in the movie be more than about 8 feet away from him, because he went up in the helicopters with us. And our job, along with an actor named Željko Ivanek, we were up in the helicopters doing surveillance. So I got to know Colonel Tom really well. And at least on paper, I think that would appear to be somewhat daunting when you realize, dude, I'm getting ready to play you in front of you.
Yeah.
For a global audience. So you talk about a tough critic. It's one thing to portray someone. It's quite another to be portraying them right in front of them. And I cared about one thing only as far as my role in the film. And that was that after each scene, I got one of these, right? If I got a thumbs up from Colonel Tom, what do I care about a movie critic? What do I care? I care that I'm doing you and you're giving me a thumbs up. That means we're good to go.
Dude,
it was the most rewarding experience of my entire career.
That's awesome. I have other questions.
Sure.
We are approaching an hour already. Can you believe that? But we're going to go over. Like, it's the internet and it's my show. So if you're good, I'm good.
Sure.
Tim, I don't want to butcher his last name, so I'm just going to put it up here. If you were not acting, what would your other purpose in life be?
That's an easy answer, because the 3 callings in my lifetime have been to be either an actor, a minister, or a therapist. And as a result of that, I have created a program called The Extra Mile, which allows me to do all 3 without a license.
That's awesome. And
that's the truth.
Yeah, I know.
I very much show up in a ministerial capacity in a lot of people's lives. I was a psychology major in college, even though I never finished up college, because Carolyn got pregnant and I needed to earn some cash, and I wasn't going to earn that in school. And I was doing psychology training just because I thought it would make me a better actor and understand other human beings and their behavioral patterns. But yeah, I could have been very happy being a minister, very happy as a therapist. And I played a minister. Ken, the book ends because I played a minister and I played Satan on the X-Files.
Yeah.
And somewhere, whatever they're reading me for is going to fall somewhere between a minister and Satan.
Would be that would pretty much sum up life.
Yeah. So they look and they go, so do you think you could play that? And I'm like, well, you never know, right? You never know. You might be able to play, because it obviously the role takes place in Australia, and it's going to have to be somewhere between a minister and Satan himself. So you never know. And sometimes you get to play these guys. I love these guys. Their mouth always does weird stuff. But I remember doing an episode of NYPD Blue. And when I did that, they said, well, as long as you're in town, why don't you come over and do Law and Order as well? So
you did Law and Order too?
I did. I did the Law and Order and Law and Order SVU.
Of course you did.
What is Brian's question?
What is the thing that gives you the most fulfillment in A, life, and B, your professional career?
Well, it's changed in my professional career because now I enjoy teaching more than I enjoy acting. And acting isn't even a close second. I mean, it's still a gift to me, and I enjoy the benefits of it, and certainly the global exposure, and it has always put food on the table and kept a roof over our heads. I'm grateful for all of the above. In general, Brian, and to the entire audience, I would say I don't know that anything in life is more important than gratitude, right? Just being grateful, waking up with a grateful heart, holding an elevated opinion of life.
Yeah.
Carolyn and I were out on a walk this morning, and I was just expressing my gratitude. And I know that the things that have gone well in my life have been driven by a centralized belief, or a centralized elevated regard, rather, for life itself. I dig, I'm going to use a word from the 60s, Ken. I dig, and this is not said to sound woo-woo, foo-foo, or what a nice thing to say during your little internet interview. I really feel this way, which is that I'm in love. No, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, people say, oh, yeah, your TV persona or your talk show persona. But the deepest truth is that I'm in love with life. The word we were taught in the 60s was dig. I dig being here. And I really believe that when we change our regard for life, everything changes. You know, Dr. Wayne Dyer said, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Yeah. So I think if we just ante up our commitment, and we elevate our overall opinion of what it means to be here in the first place. Are you having a good time being down here? And if we decide, yeah, in fact, I see this whole thing as a blessing. I see it as an opportunity. I see it as an event. And I feel fortunate to be here. I'm grateful that I was nominated for and selected, not only nominated, but selected for incarnation. And that's a big deal to me. And I'm grateful for that every day of my life, because every day I wake up, I feel like I've been reselected. And I want to say something about that, which is something I wanted to speak with you about last week. We didn't get to it on the show, but there is a thing called, and it's problematic for a lot of people. Did I answer his question, Brian's question, thoroughly?
Good, yeah.
Okay. I want to be thorough there, but there's a term in metaphysics called an already existing premise, right? So an AEP. I have modified it somewhat, and I use the expression an AEO, which means an already existing opinion. And I think it's one of the most damaging things people do, meaning they don't wake up to the discoveries that might occur in this beautiful gift we've been given called today, but rather they wake up with an already existing opinion. An already existing opinion about the way this is, and the way that is, and the way she is, and the way he is, and the way life is, and the way the virus is, and the way my job is, and the way I am. And so where in that chronic opinionitis is there any room for today to give us its gift of newness? The answer is there is no room.
Right.
So we've got to be careful, and especially if you have a garbage opinion of life, or how about this one, a garbage opinion of others, and the worst case scenario, a garbage opinion of you.
Amen.
What if you're not really happy with you? Well, what you're waking up with is not an experience of being present in this day. You're not living in present time at all. You're waking up to an already existing opinion of you and all other things, which means you're handcuffed to see things through the lens of yesterday and yesteryear. So the only way to change that is to decide, as of this moment, I'm actually going to begin to change my opinion about some things, because it occurs to me that my opinion about some things suck. It's not a healthy opinion, and it is not helping me fully participate in today. And I'm a huge fan of being new creatures every day and ever expanding, ever evolving. But that can't happen if everything that you experience is being routed through an already existing opinion.
You know, you and I, again, we've spent literally, and I'm not talking figuratively, we have literally spent hours upon hours on phone calls and on doing live streams and Zoom meetings. And
sure.
And I have learned so much about you. And listen, what I love about you too is, like, you're like, I'm like, yeah, I definitely recognize your face. What are some of the things you've been in? And you're like, 24. Did you not see 24? And I'm like, I've never seen one single episode of that.
Which actually touched my heart, because I thought, Ken likes me for me.
Right. And you were like, well, what about The Resident? I'm on that too. And I'm like, what's The Resident?
No, your response to, have you seen it? Your pretty consistent response was no, and no.
So I gotta say this, man. So I started watching 24, and OMG, it is addictive. Like, I am not kidding. It's addictive. You do not want to start watching 24 if you enjoy sleep, because it's so addicting. And I got there's this thing that I noticed about you, you know, and that is in when you're in character on 24, dude, you're like a Secret Service agent. You are like, you're somebody that you wouldn't want to piss off. Like, you're just this guy that's like, your Secret Service, your job is to kill anybody that comes near the president, and you can feel it in your role. But like, you as a human being, not in that role, like, you're one of the funniest. I mean, you're hilarious, and your heart, man, you're like, we were talking the other night, and I said, I don't know, we were talking about getting recognized, losing your anonymity and being recognized. Right. And you're like, yeah, it happens all the time at the airport, especially. Right.
Right.
And I said, well, what do you do when people come up to you and want a picture or want, an autograph or whatever? And what was your response? Because I love this response and how just freaking human you are.
What was my response, or what is my response when
somebody walks up to you and, hey,
I'm always warm no matter what, and I thank them for watching, and invariably they want a picture. And of course, in the old days, people weren't walking around with cameras, so that's when they wanted an autograph. But autographs take more time, and so frankly, I'm grateful that people have a cell phone, because they just say, could we get a picture? And the answer is always yes. I have never turned down someone taking a picture, and oftentimes we'll even say, would you like to take a picture? Because you can tell, you get fairly good at this, where you can see what's going on for someone, and quite often you can tell they want one, but they're afraid to ask.
Right.
And you can sense that, like, they don't want to be a pain or whatever. And I'll tell you, Dan Lauria, who played the father on The Wonder Years, is that a show you ever watched, Ken, or no?
No.
Okay. So he played the dad, and Dan was kind of a mentor for me. He and my two mentors in the business, Dan Lauria taught me the world about being a character actor, and Al Lewis, who played Grandpa on the Munsters, was very much a West Coast father to me and mentor.
I did.
But what Dan told me this. He said, offer to take a picture instead of waiting for them to ask, because you will make their day. Because then they don't have to be embarrassed to ask. They don't need to work up any courage. And so that's really great. In fact, I've only had one bad experience in 45 years of being in front of a film or television camera. I've only had one bad experience in public, and I shared that with you recently, and it was the day my dad died. Yeah. Because my dad dropped dead of a heart attack, and so it was very sudden and unexpected. And I was crying when I called my brother from Los Angeles International Airport. I was calling Brian to let him know of Dad's passing.
Yeah.
And I looked up, and I'm bawling on the phone, and I look up, and there's a woman that's standing there with her cell phone videotaping, or not videoing, but you know what I'm saying. She's recording me. And I walked up to her and I said, can you please put that down? And she goes, oh, I'm sorry. And I said, yeah, she goes, I've never seen you cry. You play these really tough leader types, and you're the head of the CIA or the Secret Service or the chief of police or a general or something, but you're always these tough backboned people. And I'm seeing you be so tender. And I said, I'm being tender because my dad just died.
Yeah.
Could you not only stop? I said, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Please erase that. And she did.
Wow.
But that's the only time I've ever had to be firm with someone. And, and God bless her in her innocence. She didn't know. She just thought it was a really cool moment. Like, there's General Morshower being vulnerable.
Yeah.
But that's part of the anonymity that, we give up when we make a decision to be an actor as a career choice. So it comes with the territory. Eric learned that has anyone other than Eric said something that do you care to look at today, Ken, or is it just the?
I love his comments. He's hilarious. So the answer to that is probably no. So Brian Hess loves our energy, and we do genuinely enjoy talking with each other. And you know, I love the fact that you have not ever forgotten where you came from. You've not, and you made this comment to me, I think it was last night. We were talking about somebody else being arrogant or something. And you said, you know, people that reach these levels of fame, they forget that without fans, without people knowing who they are on that level, they forget that they wouldn't be where they are without them.
That's correct.
And that's why
I mean, they've given us the life. No, they've given us the lives we have. Yeah. And gratitude, to me, gratitude is the only acceptable attitude toward them. You know, Ken, I want to respect the fact that we don't need to do one of our 90-minute shows, but there's at least one more thing that I'd like to open up, kind of a portal, if I could here,
please,
for us to explore, because Carolyn and I were talking about this on our walk this morning, and it was, you know, we have not really gotten into the virus discussion in this interview, and that's just as well.
Yeah.
But because it is still present and because it's going on, I've got some thoughts about how people can grow themselves during this time. So while things seem to be, and I think seem is a big word here, seem to be trending downward, I believe that it's possible for the individual to be trending upward. And I think that's an issue of consciousness. I think we just have to decide that just because the world may be trending downward doesn't mean I need to co-sign that experience. I can find a way to elevate during this time. And so what I was going to suggest for our viewers is this is a time that is unprecedented. We've certainly never seen anything like this in our lifetime. And we've got an opportunity to utilize it. You know, most people I know have been endlessly complaining about never having enough time to do something. Just don't have the time. Boy, if I did, it would really be, well, you do. So now you got the time that you were talking about. If only I had the time your whole life. And now it's been issued. So it's a time, this is what our discussion was in the walk this morning. It seems to be that it is a great opportunity to practice introspection if you're not someone who typically does that. And the reason is, it is only through introspection that we really know who it is we are. And if we've never fully explored, you know, Larry Wingett said something on his show the other day. I watched it with Scott.
Yeah.
And in that interview, he said something, it's not original. I've said it for years. Many people have said it, that basically under pressure, what is in you will come out of you. You think of it like a piece of fruit that under pressure, the juice comes out. Well, under pressure, the juice of who we are comes out. Yep. What has been inside us all along squirts out. So then the question is, do we like what comes out of us? And if we don't like the scent of what comes out of it, we've got to know that's the essence that has been bubbling underneath all along. And what we can do, Ken, is during this time, if you're not deeply familiar with who it is you are, not you, I'm talking about your audience, you're very clear on who you are. And that's what I love about you. But if someone isn't taking time to practice introspection, then they're not going to be crystal clear on who it is they really are. And I'm talking about at their very core. Here's why this is key. If a person is unfamiliar with who they are at their very core, then chances are they are going to be unsuccessful in knowing, not just unsuccessful, but specifically unsuccessful in knowing how it is they need to plug in life. If you don't know who you are, you will forever be plugging in incorrectly. You've got to know that you're a three-prong, socket. You get if you're going to fit one in it. You can't be a 2 into a 3 or a 3 into a 2. You've got to know where you belong. And that even comes down to like job consideration when you're looking for a job. So many people base their first thought when looking for a job is, well, let's see who's hiring. I can't think of a worse way to look for a job. It's not about who's hiring. It's about what are my gifts and where will they be valued? Where can I take that which I was born to offer this world and then fit it in? Because then work won't be work anymore. It will be a privilege because your essence is being valued. These are the things that we can be discovering during this time. That is a great usage of all the free time that we have on our hands. And I just wanted to make sure to say that to our viewers today.
I absolutely love that, man. And that is something that, you know, since I've gotten to know you, and you know, we've spent a lot of time on live streams, and I'll never forget the day. I'm just gonna, I gotta tell the audience this. Like, you called me after we had done many live streams together.
Sure.
And you called me and you said, Brother Ken, I have a proposition for you. And I said, Glenn, I'm already married, dude. I'm sorry.
You did say that.
And you said, no, that look, I think you and I need to do a show together. And you said, and I'm going to give you top billing. I did not know.
And you said, what's billing?
I said, who do I bill? And who do I send the bill to? And you know, you said, I want to call it the Ken and Glenn show. And you said something like, if we were named David and Goliath, I forget how you put it, but you said it wouldn't sound, Ken and Glenn would sound better.
Yeah, because it flows off the tongue. Try to say, well, I watched the Goliath and David show. That's weird. It's weird. But Ken and Glenn, man, Ken and Glenn, it's so easy.
There's Mike Muni. What a great guy he is. Wow.
Oh, have you interviewed Mike?
I have. He's amazing.
He is an amazing cat. I love Mike.
He is amazing. So we came up with this show. We said, okay, let's do it. The Ken and Glenn show. And then we were doing a live stream one night. Scott McKain comes along and I said, oh my God, we got to get Scott on here. You're not going to believe this guy's voice. And you're like, bring him in. And so Scott comes in and he's like, hey, Glenn, it's nice. I can't do Scott, but like, you know,
hey, Glenn, it's nice to see you. I'm Scott McKain.
It was, and he's just got this unbelievable. And then we got to include Scott in the show, not just because of his voice, but because of his brilliance and his heart. And so, right. And we came up with the Ken and Glenn show with a guy named Scott. And I love that. I just love that.
Can you show them the preview?
Can
you cue it up?
Let's do it.
Show them the preview, which will be for Sunday evenings. We're on every Sunday evening at 8
every Sunday
Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern.
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So here's our opener for the Ken and Glenn show with a guy named Scott. Here we go. So proud of that. So
you really hit it out of the park in designing that, man. It's beautiful.
Well, I am, you know, I wish I could take the credit. I directed, but
and our dear brother Chase edited that out of Las Vegas, right?
Oh, Chase is amazing. So, you know, dude, I'm so, and I should be calling you sir. I should be way more respectful. And But I love you like a brother, man. You're one of my favorite humans of all time. And because of you, I now have an addiction to 24. I don't get to sleep much anymore.
I lost my own blood brother this year, Ken, and I had no idea that God was going to replace it with a dear heartfelt brother this year. So
Wow, man.
I'm so beyond grateful that you have shown up, and I meet you right where you are.
I love you, dude. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for coming on and sharing your unbelievable, like, this is just a smidgen of your brilliance and your wisdom. It's so deep. I know that you have the acting school, which is like, I pop in and out of your classes, right? And I'll watch for a little while because it's mind blowing. Like, I watch you take these actors and actresses that are doing these scenes or whatever. What do you call it? Not monologues. Or
no, there's scenes.
And I just watch you form in these scenes into these brilliant, just works of art. And you help these folks like just make these tiny little adjustments, and boom, it becomes something that's unbelievable. And I think, and I've told you this before, I leave there thinking, it's so important to pay attention to the details.
Yes. It's all about the nuances. And I tell you, their job is to study hard and prepare well and bring to me each Monday and Tuesday. There's my dear other brother from another mother, Alan Skidmore, who I've been blessed to know and love for years. But their job, what did Alan say? Can you put that back up? Let me read it real quick. Oh, they've been very uplifting with all the crazy going on. Yeah, I love you too, Alan. Thank you, man, for watching today. But their job, Ken, these actors, is to bring with them on Monday or Tuesday, depending on what class they're in. Their job is to bring me a wet piece of clay.
Yeah.
And then my job is to help them sculpt it.
Yeah.
And we do it every week. And everybody gets 2 takes. The first one is made up of their own instinctual choices. And then we modify them. I explain what worked and why, what doesn't and why. And then we home shape and refine take 2. And it's beautiful. It's the blessing. My dream is my school. My dream has come true to have my own studio where I help actors live the life that I have been living for 45 years. And
you're doing it. And I see just by I don't participate, but I observe
yet.
No, yeah, we'll see. But anyway,
we'll get you up there.
Yeah. So but observing and watching, it's not about, and that's what I love about it. It's not about acting as much as it is about life. It's just incredible. And so I would encourage, anyone to reach out. I don't even know how you would want them to reach out, but to reach out and
they can reach out to me on my Facebook page and let me know if they're interested in studying. And now that we're teaching online, the beauty is there are no more borders, right? So we've got people that are not only coming in from all over the U.S., we've got people that I will be opening up to some international locations, because we have right now people that are sitting in class from the U.K. We had someone from Africa watching this past week, and we've got freedom, we've got options, so it'll be interesting.
It's amazing, and the price of it's just absolutely ridiculous. Like I couldn't even believe that
$150 to study 4 sessions a month, and the sessions are 6 hours long. So that's a lot of training for $150, but it's great. So if anyone wants to reach out, they can reach out to the name below, Glenn Morshower, on Facebook, and let me know.
Dude, you're amazing. I thank you for coming on. Thank you for everybody there's been all kinds of shares. A lot of people have shared this, and thank you for that. Thank you.
I love you dearly, man.
In the comments, dude, you're amazing. You're me.
We'll stay on and visit with each other after you sign off. But love to all of you. Thank you for tuning in with us today. And if you get a chance, join us for the Ken and Glenn show with a guy named Scott. Sunday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 p.m. Pacific time.
Amen. Guys, have a great day. Thank you.